everybody. My name is Andrew LeBlanc.
And I'm Eric Lewis.
And thank you so much for joining us on our first Community Spotlight video, where we're going to be showcasing some of the great businesses and community organizations in Riverview. And today we're so thrilled to be joined by Rob Taylor, who is the owner of Five Bridges Bar and Grill here in Riverview.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. I watched your first one, your second one, and they were awesome. I think they're great. So
You're our one fan, Rob.
No, not true. Several friends have enjoyed it, and the local stuff is great, and people enjoy watching it.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
We're glad to have you with us today.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, owner of Five Bridges Bar and Grill. Can you tell us a bit about the restaurant and your history with it?
So my dad and a few of his friends picked up the restaurant 9 years ago. Actually, I didn't know it was 9 years ago until I seen a picture on Facebook pop up. And that was my first social media gig, was working for my dad. I don't think I did a very good job at it, but he, anyways, all these pictures popped up, maybe not long ago, like a couple days ago, and it was 9 years. I said, holy listen, it's been 9 years. So started 9 years ago. It was my father and a few friends, and I wasn't involved at all. I just did some social media stuff. Pretended to do some social media stuff, and then I took off. I wasn't involved at all for 3 to 4 years. I traveled, went around, and my father was busy with other things, and so were his other partners. And there was a good opportunity for me to come home and be kind of a sweat equity, work my way into the business and become an owner. And my father, so he called me and told me to come home and asked. And at the time, I didn't want to come home. I was living the kind of a pretty cool lifestyle, but it's hard to do that when you're 40 or 50 years old. So I decided to come home, and yeah, the first 3 months were pretty incredible. It was a learning experience for sure. I've always been in the restaurant business, but I never owned it. So it's different as an owner. And within the first 2 months of owning the restaurant, we actually had a major fire. I'm sure if you guys remember that.
Right, yeah.
That was...
Yeah, and I didn't understand how insurance worked at the time. And so I was freaking out in the morning. I was over there at 6 in, like crying, because I had just put every dollar I had into it, which, you know, wasn't a lot, but it was a lot to me at the time. And we had brightened it up, we'd painted it, and because it was pretty dark, and my father didn't spend a lot of time there, and it needed a revamp. And I did it to the best I could, but it still needed more, but it's all I had at the time. And then within 2 months of owning it, we had the fire, and I pulled into the parking lot at 6 a.m. And of course my father was already there, and I was almost in tears because, you know what I mean? It was just starting to take off. It was just starting to work. I was just starting to get people in, and then I'm told it's going to be 6 months here before we get it rebuilt. And then my father comes over. He's like, relax, what's wrong? I'm like, oh my God, it's burnt down. Like, what are we going to do? It's going to cost so much money. I understood the vague idea of insurance, but I didn't truly understand how it worked. And he was like, no, you are just the weirdest and luckiest guy in the world. Like, everything you seem to get into seems to fall into place. And I'm like, almost in tears. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're going to come in here and they're going to rebuild a brand new restaurant for you. And I'm like, no way. And he's like, yeah, so just relax. I know it seems stressful now, but in 6 months' time, when you walk into a brand new building, you're going to understand how sweet insurance is. And that was my first experience with it. And so, yeah, within 3 months of owning the restaurant, I was pretty much 50% owner with my father, and had a brand new restaurant to work with. So that's pretty much how it started from there.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Obviously, the focus of this show is Riverview. Do you know why your dad and his partners at the time chose Riverview, why they were interested in that spot?
Dad was convinced that, like, if you read our mission statement and it's been our mission statement from day one, it wasn't mine, it was my father's and Brett's Judson, who owns Gusto. It was their idea was that if you support the community in which you work and live in, like, they'll support you. And like, that's our tagline. I think it's on our Instagram page, on our social media. Anytime we send any emails, we sometimes finish with that, and it couldn't be more true. And Dad was a big, big believer in that. And even in the first 3 or 4 years that the restaurant didn't do very well, he was still a firm believer that if it had someone at the helm that was willing to engage the community, get involved, give back, really resonate with them, that it could work. So for the first 3 or 4 years, I wasn't there, and the manager at the time did a great job. She was amazing, but the owner operators were off doing other things. And so it didn't resonate. So when I came home, that's what he preached. He said, I wish I could do it. I don't have time to do it. But if you want in the business, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to connect with the community. You're going to have to get involved with charities. It can't be phony. It can't be fake. You got to put the work in, and they'll support you. Riverview is just that type of community. And he was convinced. Like, so was I, but you know what I mean? I had never really been in the position before. And my father had owned restaurants and nightclubs and every business you ever imagined. And if he was kind of sure of something, he was pretty close. And lo and behold, he was positive within the first 2 years. Andrew, I think we did the Bridge the Gap within my first year there.
Yeah.
And that was a huge success. I think we had like 150 people. I'm not sure. I think we raised like $25,000. Like, was a lot, which is a lot. And that was our first community engagement, and it worked really, really well. And yeah, that's what was the draw to Riverview, was that there was a niche there that if you get involved enough with the community, that you could make a successful business.
So we really wanted to dive into that a little bit, Rob, if you don't mind. What are some of the things? Because you guys have been, I see you guys as a community champion and a community partner before I even see you as a business. You guys are so entrenched in supporting so many different groups in this community. And I think, I know Eric's going to ask about this a little bit later when it comes to pandemic stuff, but I think that was really evident in rallying around some local businesses. So would you mind touching on some of the different charities and organizations that you do support? Because I think it's important to highlight the work that you guys are doing. Yeah,
like I said, first 3 or 4 years Bridges was open, it didn't do very well. And any business and owner can attest, it's not an easy market. You've really got to work to create the customer loyalty. If you don't do that, it's a small community. It's a town. It's not a village. It's not a city. It's still small enough where that stuff means a lot. And if you don't do that, if you don't show loyalty to them, there's not a very good chance you won't get it back. And that's why we felt getting involved with a set group of charities where the message didn't get lost, because sometimes in the restaurant business or any business, there's a lot of options. Hey, can you sponsor this? Can you sponsor that? Can you sponsor this? Can you sponsor that? Well, those $100, $200, $300 donations, they add up to be a lot. So at that point, I was like, we need to find something that we can focus on and really drive our point to and get the most out of our dollar. And so the first one was obviously the mental health, because it used to be just on that road right up the street from us. And that was a great partnership. We had some really good fundraisers there. And that was great. Mental health is always important, but I feel like almost that first year that we did that fundraiser was where the importance of mental health really came to the forefront. You know what I mean? Like, I really feel like that year that Atlantic Wellness kind of blew up in town was the first year people were like, mental health is, you know what I mean? It's real. Like, you can't sweep it under the carpet anymore. You've got to address it. So that was really good. That timing, all of that worked really, really well. And then we thought, what would be the next logical idea that we could get involved in? And it was obviously Riverview High School. Like, if you're from Riverview, you're going to Riverview High. There's no questions asked. And it was natural for us. And there had not been too many people involved. I mean, I know some of the car companies had got involved with them, but there was no true person backing them and kind of every year focused on having a meeting. And then you see the Friends of the Royals, Friends of the Trojans, you know, Matthew Martin has their thing, and Riverview never had one. So that just felt like so natural for us to do it because of how tight-knit of a community it is. It was just a natural thing to do it, Friends of the Royals. And then that just was a no-brainer. And since we started that, we raised, if we would have had last year, we would have been over 80,000. And shout out to Luke's Foundation and Home Hardware and Kyle and that crew from Home Hardware, your brother, actually. I mean, they're a big businessman and they help big time with everything we do. Moncton Car Guys, they all sponsored that event before it got canceled. And so shout out to them for that. But as soon as we can have it, they're major sponsors of it as well. And other smaller charities will get involved here and there, but we basically focus on two big ones a year because we feel like that's the best way we can spend our money. And at the same time, Riverview High, you're grade 9, and by the time you're leaving grade 12, and at some point they're going to be customers. So from a business point of view, it works great for us because we're getting involved and it's costing some money, but at the same time, how I look at it is when I was in high school, sports rock helped out a lot. And like, I still remember that. So, and it's going to work like that with the kids as well. So.
It's the cool thing
that was
about
our idea behind it.
I think that's one of the neat things about coming into Five Bridges, though, is that it's such a multi-generational experience, because our seniors are there, and I know you have your regulars who are engaged with you all the time, and then we have your adults, and then your young kids. Even my 4-year-old, every time we drive by, she's like, "That's Five Bridges." It's like,
yeah,
you're right.
We connect with every age group. It's really unique, you know, and that's what I've said to a lot of people. Like, you can come in with a dress shirt and shoes after a business week, or you can come in with your work boots on and your dirty jeans. And we're very lucky to have created like that vibe, and Riverview is a big part of that. And you can be with your family, or you can be having their drinks at night. Like, we connected with like that group of guys and girls that all go out for a Friday night, and it's really cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Andrew alluded to this earlier, but obviously the pandemic that we're all experiencing had a major impact on everybody, but businesses especially really suffered a lot. From the outside looking in, it looks like you guys were able to pivot really quickly and boost takeout service and just keep it rolling. So tell us a bit about that, how it impacted you, and ultimately what you did about it.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was coming because earlier in the week I had some friends that live in Vegas, and they play the stocks, and they pretty much told me, they were like, get ready for a shutdown middle of the week next week, which is like, looking back, I was on cloud 9. Like, I was just on auto control at that point, right? Because it was a rough year for me. I'd lost my father, who was my business partner and best friend. And then then the Sandbar went through a hurricane, my other restaurant on the Point, Sheen Wharf. And so within the 8 months of being 100% sole proprietor of multiple businesses, I went through a pandemic, a major hurricane, and like a death of a loved one. So it was just like, what can I do? Like, you know, like, get ready to close down my businesses. That's what someone's telling me. And I'm just like, kind of shell shocked. But I knew at the same time, if I didn't adapt and I didn't get ready for it, I was going to get left in the dust. So about a week before I was ready to go, I had the floor signs, I had a takeout program created, which we had already pretty much developed before COVID, which we were very lucky that we were already kind of known as a pretty good spot for takeout. And my wife was willing to work like 70 hours a week, which, like, she worked every day, 12 hours a day. So I know no matter where I was at, it was running well, running smooth, sanitizations were happening, and we had all of our things ready. So Thursday night, I think the president down south announced the lockdown. You knew Canada would follow suit. So that Friday, we didn't know what to expect. We expected to do 20% of our sales. And we were saying, we do 20%, like, it's not good, but like, we can probably make it through it. Do you know what I mean? And we were only down 15, 20% that first Friday night.
Wow.
So we were just like, we can do this. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be easy, but you know, we can do this. And we had posted all of our safety protocols and everything that first night. And the town, I think we had over 1,200 shares and 2,000 likes. And like, the town is incredible. Like, Riverview is just like, and Greater Moncton supported us too, but like, Riverview is just, it was just unbelievable what they shared. They said, we'll be in tonight. We're not in tonight. We'll be in tomorrow. And we were seeing families, like I seen all you guys, you know what I mean? Your families. And we were seeing people 2-3 times a week. And you know what I mean? I know takeout is takeout, but you know, not very many times would I order 3 or 4 times a week from the same place, but you know, they were incredible. And every message was, you know, and a lot of messages weren't public either, but they just said, you know, we just love you guys and what you do for the community, and we can't wait to give it back to you. And so, yeah, the transition was actually not as difficult as I thought it was going to be, because of the support that the town had given us, you know, from top to bottom. So I know a lot of other restaurants are going through the same thing, and it's not easy, but from our situation, another reason why we're just so lucky to be entrenched in a neighborhood in an amazing town. So
I think that restaurant experience, I mean, I'll speak for myself, but that became our Friday night thing, was to order from Five Bridges, because it was just, we made it through another week of this nonsense where we're not seeing our loved ones except through Zoom calls and things. Like, that was like our reward at the end of the week was, let's get some takeout and just try to relax. So
yeah, I could name 20 people that we all know that was their same thing. You know, it was just like, holy, like everyone was just walking around in a cloud, right?
Yeah.
Like that's where like the rambling thing comes from. Because my wife would say when people would come in for takeout, I would kind of just corner them and be like, I hadn't talked to anybody. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm a talker. I like talking. I like being involved and like doing 100 different things. And it was kind of like my one escape was seeing you guys come into the restaurant. And we'd be 6 feet away and she'd be like, let them leave. And I was like, okay, sorry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it was kind of my escape too, but it wasn't easy and it isn't easy. You know what I mean? We're still in the middle of it. And we had the scare last week and, you know, I laid off 50% of our staff just so that they could be prepared if we didn't know, you know what I mean? Like you don't know what's going to happen. So you don't want your staff to go a week without pay. Mm-hmm. They have bills too, just as much as we do. So luckily we made it through pretty strong. And even like this mini lockdown we just went through, that Monday, we were lucky we did our Thanksgiving promotion and it did well. But then that Monday, Tuesday, obviously it was because of Thanksgiving, but your brain goes back to, oh my goodness, are people back to being scared again or what's business going to be like? And then, so we cut back way big time. And then Wednesday night we were as full as we can be, obviously with the social distancing, but it was still great. It had a good vibe. And then Thursday, the numbers came out, they were better. We were busy. And then today they've been good. So we're very lucky for sure.
And you guys have adapted now to moving forward as we're getting into some colder weather. I know you guys have done some renovations. Do you want to let everybody know what the new experience will be like when they come to Five Bridges?
Yeah, like that. It was the first cold. It was the first cold day. It was Wednesday, and we were busy. We were full. Both dining rooms were lined up, and it was the middle of September. I can't remember the exact date, but I'm sure you remember. Like, there was that one night where everyone was like, "Whoa, it's not summer anymore," right?
Yeah.
And people were in shorts, and you know, and even I was just with a shirt on, and I went out for supper afterwards to another restaurant across the river that we share a ton of customers with. I won't say their name, but it's a great restaurant. And I went there after just for a bite to eat, to relax. And it was chaos at their front door, like absolute true chaos, because it was freezing. You know what I mean? Like people wanted in, like it's just human nature. We got to get inside of a restaurant here. And it just clicked right there. I was talking about doing something all summer, but then I was like, I really got to get this done because we're so lucky at Five Bridges to have the overhanging roof and a place where people can line. And Jason from 24/7 Fitness was awesome. He never even hesitated to let people line up in front of the door. And he's been great through that. And I said, we got to get this done right away because it's getting cold quickly and human nature will kick in. You're going to not listen to the pylon system or the doorbell system we have. You're going to be cold. You're going to be frustrated so you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to come into the restaurant and wait because you're cold, or two, you're just going to leave because it's just too cold. So obviously we didn't want that. So at the same time, we wanted to be responsible. So we built that enclosure where we're at the front door where I'm sure most people have seen it. And we were going to put doors on the end, but then I talked to the government in Brunswick and they said it kind of defeats the purpose because ventilation, right? You need to have air moving through because it's great that we're doing this. They wouldn't have said yay or nay one way or the other, but they said you should have you should have ventilation, like you should have air ripping through. So I said, okay. So we left both ends open, and then we're going to have patio heaters, just those propane heaters, and we're going to line them down the line. And it's going to be, it won't be 20 degrees in there, but it'll be 10 or 15 degrees. You'll be able to comfortably wait in the middle of, like, we had that hurricane literally 2 days after we finished building it, and there was no water in there. It stayed really dry and warm. So just little things like that, that make me feel comfortable. And if they're making me feel comfortable and safe, then I know that kind of works its way onto the customer as well. So keep everybody safe, and let's hopefully get through this in the next year or so. But if we all do our part, then we can keep doing what we're doing. So,
well, I think that's a great way to wrap things up right there, Rob. So thanks for being such a great community partner for the community. Do you want to let people know where they can find you online?
Yeah, fivebridges.org. Follow us on Facebook. Or follow us on Instagram. We're incredibly involved on all three platforms, and we're announcing important changes daily. I mean, the customers' safety and comfort is our number one priority. So every day, we pick up something new, and if we pick up something we think that can make you more comfortable and more safe, we usually announce it right online. And I think that's why we've stayed so busy, is because of that. So just follow us on those things, and we're not perfect, but we certainly try to be. And if there's anything you guys ever have, concerns, comments, questions, or something wasn't perfect, just message us on Facebook and we'll take care of you in 2 seconds. So yeah, I appreciate you guys doing this. I think it's great that you have a local voice, and I can't wait to do the Friends of the Royals fundraiser. You know, maybe after Christmas, that's a possibility of a decent sized group being allowed inside. If that is, then I can't wait to do it. I've got some amazing prizes for it. That's I'm able to pick up even more auction items throughout the year that people are going to be really happy about. And then obviously our sponsors like Lutz Foundation. I just want to mention them because, you know, they got involved. Home Hardware, Lutz Foundation, Moncton Car Guys, Wellington Investment, which is Wade Hamilton and his partner.
Oh yeah.
Just a bunch of really good companies that got involved. And when we are able to do this again, I can't wait to raise some money. So
cool.
Awesome. Well,
thanks guys.
Thanks, Rob. And thanks everyone for watching today. We really appreciate it.
Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.